Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the August 10th, 2020 formal County Commission meeting. I'm going to ask Deputy Chief John Smith to call the meeting to order. If you would, please remain standing for the pledge led by Commissioner Larry Riccone and the invocation by Commissioner Joe Creek.
All rise. Oh, yes, this Honorable Board of County Commission now stands in session pursuant to adjournment. May God save this state and its Honorable Board of County Commissioners.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for your love and your watch care. We ask that you be with us and guide and direct us in all of our endeavors. We're going through troubled times down here now with the virus and other things that are just seems like they're caving in on us. We just ask that you give us strength, give us foresight, give us actions to take to overcome those things that are in front of us. Guide and direct us tonight as we vote on different things. And when our views differ, please let us respect one another. It says in the Bible in 1 Corinthians 2:9, but it is written, eye hath not seen nor ear heard, neither have entered the heart of man the things which God had prepared for them that love each other. Thank you again for all that you've done for us in Montgomery County. We have certainly been blessed with the leadership. For it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Commissioners, if you would please register your attendance. Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the roll?
We have 19 present and 2 absent.
All right. First on our agenda tonight is going to be a presentation by Ms. Michelle Lau. She is our Diversity and Training Officer. Michelle, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Good. Please.
So this is my first time getting to see most of you. Actually, I saw a lot of y'all last week. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and what in the world is a diversity officer and what have I been up to since January 21st. My name again is Michelle Lau. I am a U.S. Army retiree. I did 22 years in the Army. Glad to serve my country. Now I get to serve my county, my state. So I'm going to give you a little bit of what I have done since I've been in this position. For me, diversity, a lot of people think black and white. Me, I don't think that way. My thought is diversity is unity, period. Diversity is unity. If I'm thinking in the zones of black, white, I have a problem. So now I say my whole site is on unity. How can we join together as individuals, as people coming together? So everything I'm going to do from the 21st of January is based on unity, uniting our community, uniting the people. One thing I like to tell people right out the gate when I do training is I don't operate in white guilt, okay? I don't operate in white guilt. And what the heck is that? Is that feeling that I think a lot of white people get when somebody say we're gonna have diversity training. And it's like, oh my God, here we go again, right? So I don't operate like that. The way I operate is really just trying to help us all come together in sharing our views. Sharing our views. So it's no sense in us coming to the table. We say everybody's got a seat at the table, while there are some people sitting at the table with plush chairs and other people getting splinters in their butt because they're on the wooden bench still. So if we're going to do it, we got to do it right. And I think where our country has failed is we have failed to have hard conversations. We have failed to really get to the nuts and bolts of real conversation and why aren't we moving forward. So this past Wednesday, we had an amazing conversation with some of the school students. I teamed up with Montgomery County school system with the blessing of Mr. House. I teamed up with APSU and also with Springforth Counseling Center. And we invited 75 students to get on a Zoom call and have those tough conversations. And boy, did they ever have those conversations. This is where I say, I think if we old folks get out the way and let the youth take over, our country would be so much better because they figured it out and they were not afraid to express the things that they have encountered in school, the things that they know need to be changed, and the things that I know we can change, right? So again, that was just one. We called that Turning the Talk, and it was an amazing 2-hour session with high school and middle school students. They led the conversation. We asked questions, they gave us answers, very candid, very frank answers. That was the beginning. That was laying the foundation with working with our youth. One of the other things that I have done since I've been here is stood up the diversity task force. What exactly is a diversity task force? It's a whole bunch of people that don't look just like me, but it looks like Asian, Hispanics, white, black, you name it, we're there. We try to cover our community. And my community does not all look like me. My community look like everybody in this room. So we stood up that diversity task force. One of the first things we did on the 31st or the 30th of June was have conversation. And one of the biggest things was, how in the world is the school system diversifying? Meaning we don't see a lot of diversity in the school system. So the next meeting, which was on the 31st of July, we had Mr. House come in and talk about what is he doing to ensure our school system is more diverse, ensuring our students see people who look like them and represent them. So that was a great conversation. That was just a week or so ago. So every time we meet, we're going to do something different. We don't believe in just sitting by and saying, you know what, we're a committee or task force, but we're not doing anything. So one of the other things is we have legs and we're going to use them. And so we're going to go into our communities and talk to people and find out what do they need from us. I believe education is power. I really do. So if we educate our people in our communities, let them know, like I went to early voting and I was really sad because there was a lot of empty spots on that ballot. A whole lot of blank spaces where somebody could have been running against somebody and there was no spots there. So educating people that you don't have to be a millionaire to get elected. I mean, seriously, I could put Daffy Duck on there and he might have got elected, okay? So just keeping it real. I'm a real trainer. I don't like doing check the block stuff. I like keeping it real and doing real training, having those tough conversations where you squirm in your seat a little bit, but get it out the way. Let's talk about the real stuff. So we're gonna go out in our community. We're gonna do some education sessions. How do you get hired on in city and or county government? So I forgot to say that I'm helping with the city government as well, doing their diversity training. One of my big missions when I came here was to make sure that we did all of our Title VI training. We were lagging behind. Within a month, I'll say month and a half, we have trained over 1,400 people in the county government. So I am done with that part, Title VI, because that's a big part, especially if you're trying to get any kind of grants, you got to have that done. So I make sure we're getting up to speed on all of our training, all of our Title VI stuff. Again, if city needs help, I've actually done some really good sessions with the city government, some of their departments, and I'll tell you that they got a couple of gut punches because it was a little worse than they thought, but at least they're ahead of a lot of people on what is going on in their organizations, in their departments. And the exact same thing I'm doing with the county. We're gonna do some, what I call command climate assessments and talk the hard talk and find out what's going on in our county government. Okay, we have now just selected our people for our Title VI committee, making sure we have those folks and making sure we're doing things. We don't want Montgomery County to be a county of non-diversity. When I applied for this job, one of the questions or one of the answers I gave to the questions is, I want Montgomery County to set the standard. I never want us to follow behind anybody. That includes the state, that includes other entities. Montgomery County should be setting the standard in everything we do. And so diversity, I want other counties around us to look at Montgomery County and say, whoa, how did y'all do that? So that is one of my missions, and I'm serious about that. Whatever I can do to help y'all in your role to make your mission a little easier, definitely call on me. But I want to make sure we are diverse and we're doing the right things in training and everything we're doing. Other things, outreach, doing county outreach, again, making sure everybody know what exactly is the diversity, what is a diversity and training officer, how I can help them. If you have training ideas, if you want me to help you do some training or whatever, let me know, whatever I can do to help. I think that's about all I need to say. I think I talked a little long, but anyway, if you have questions for me, I'm here. I will stay for the whole meeting. If you have questions, I'm here. Thank you.
Questions of Michelle? Michelle, you're doing an awesome job. Thank you so much. We have several proclamations tonight, and I don't know where they are. Oh, okay. So if you would, just bear with me. The first one, our first proclamations are to three ladies, and thanks to Commissioner Jason Knight for bringing these ladies to our attention. I had heard a lot about them, but as most of you know, with this virus that's going around, a lot of our seniors were not able to participate in a graduation. And so these three ladies were very instrumental in organizing a graduation for many of our seniors. So if Miss Joanne Ginyard, Heather Jeffries, and Tamika Osborne would come forward. How are y'all tonight? So all three of these proclamations read the same. So if you would, I'd like to read this first one. Whereas commitment and determination are just a few words that describe Joanne Ginyard, Heather Jeffries, and Tamika Osborne. And whereas their commitment consisted of organizing and hosting an event to celebrate the high school senior graduating class of 2020. And whereas on Saturday, June 27th, approximately 500 seniors participated in a drive-through graduation parade at the James E. Bruce Convention Center in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And whereas students received numerous gifts given by sponsors and their parents, many businesses donated items for each senior to receive a gift bag, while others donated decoration, food, and drink. And whereas this has been an unconventional year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but graduating from high school is a time to celebrate those seniors for the hard work that led to this joyful occasion. And whereas these three women and other volunteers are to be highly commended for their efforts in celebrating and making this graduation one to remember for the senior class of 2020. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and senior class parents of Montgomery County, do hereby recognize and show appreciation to Joanne, Heather, and Tamika for organizing the 2020 senior class graduation parade. We are sure each senior felt they were being recognized in a special way, and we thank you for your dedication to them. Ladies, thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay, would you give it to her? They're all the same. I think she wants to take a picture. If y'all want to pull your mask off and show one of those proclamations, that'll be fine. Yeah, or hold your breath. Thank y'all. Thank you so much. All right, is there someone here from the Suffrage Centennial Day? Nobody here? Okay, well, to save time, I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's real long and the words are real small, and I would have a real hard time reading it. So they're going to do a parade this Saturday, and we will present this at the parade on Saturday. But thanks to all those who helped recognize our Tennessee Women's Suffrage Centennial Day, and this is a ringing of the bells joint proclamation. And then we have a resolution for our Juneteenth celebration. I want to thank Commissioner Rashidah Leverett for helping put this together. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1983, declaring the slaves in Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America. And whereas word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and Southwestern United States. Whereas Emancipation Day observations are held on different days in different states in the South and Southwest and in other parts of the nation, and whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. And whereas Juneteenth celebrations across America serve to commemorate an end to enslavement and honor the heritage and memory of those kept from freedom for so long. And whereas Juneteenth further provides us with an opportunity to recount and remember that freedom has not always extended to every life in America. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, do hereby urge all citizens to become more aware of the significance of this celebration in history and in the heritage of our nation. Commissioner Leverett, I'm going to give this to you. Now, if I could have our Circuit Court Clerk, Ms. Cheryl Castle, come forward, please. Billy, you want to come up? Well, before I read this proclamation, first of all, I've known Cheryl and Billy both a long, long time. I don't want to say how long, but it's been a long time. And Cheryl, when I became mayor, I just want to tell you how blessed I am to be able to work alongside somebody like you, somebody that puts their heart and soul into what you do each and every day. And what happens over there in the court center is truly a mystery to me, but you make it happen and you do a damn good job of it. So thank you. So I'd like to read this proclamation to you. Whereas Cheryl Castle and husband William Billy are lifelong residents of Montgomery County, Tennessee, and they have 2 children, Caitlin Castle Swaffer and William Castle, and 1 grandchild, which I'm sure y'all are very proud of, and there she is right there, Hannah Louise Swaffer. And whereas Cheryl graduated from Clarksville High School and attended Austin Peay State University, and whereas Cheryl began her career with Montgomery County in March 1981 at the Circuit Court Clerk's office. In 1987, she transferred to the Administrative Division of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, where she stayed until being elected as the Circuit Court Clerk in 1994. Whereas Cheryl has served on several county boards and committees and was the president of the Middle Tennessee State Court Clerks Association, representing 45 counties. She also served on the board of directors for the Tennessee State Court Clerks Association. Whereas Cheryl has been a dedicated elected official, committed to public service and making her office one of the most advanced in the state. Cheryl has implemented one of the leading cost collection systems in Tennessee. She has also made her office one of the most technologically advanced. And whereas Montgomery County government is fortunate to have had Cheryl Castle as one of its most outstanding elected officials, and she will certainly be missed by her friends and employees. And whereas we hope that Cheryl will enjoy spending her well-deserved retirement years with her family and will take time to enjoy her love of camping and gardening. Now, therefore, I, Jim Durrett, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, do hereby acknowledge and applaud Cheryl Castle for nearly 40 years of loyal and dedicated service to Montgomery County government. We hope that your retirement years are filled with happiness, good health, and many days spoiling your granddaughter. Congratulations, Cheryl.
Thank you.
You're going to be missed. Congratulations. You want to say anything?
You know how bad I hate stuff like this. I tell you what, I cry at stop signs, but I have truly been blessed to serve Montgomery County all these years, and there is nothing that had I had the choice that I had rather done. It's hard. It was a hard decision to make. I'm ready. My family needs me, but it's still not easy to walk away. But I love all y'all, and thank you very much. all.
So lastly, we have several students from our local school system and private schools that are here tonight that were part of our Mayor's Emerging Leaders program this year. Unfortunately, the year kind of got cut short, but they all hung in there with us. And so I would like to be sure and recognize all of them tonight. All the certificates have your names on them. And so if I call your name, if you just come up, and I think we have one, where is, who am I looking for? Miss Herrera. Oh, there you are. I don't know if we got your RSVP. We may not have one of these for you here tonight, but we will get you one. Okay? So, Taylor Albertia. Are you going to try to do any kind of picture of this, Michelle? Okay. If you just walk right up to the front. Thank you so much, Taylor, and congratulations. Isabella Allen. She's not here. Isaiah Birdsong. Elena Chandler. There you go, Isaiah. Emily Deller. Thank you. Emily here. Gracie Harper. There you go, Gracie. McKenna, help me on your last name. Hunky? Did I say it right? Okay, you said it. Congratulations. Is it Yariel Jimenez Lopez? Close enough? Brennan Morrow? Neva Strausser? Is it Neva or Nevea? Nevea? There you go. Kendra Swinson? Or I didn't say your last name right either, did I? Swinson? Savannah Washington? And William Zirkle. And Miss Herrera, you come on down too, and I'm going to hand you one of these, and you can hold it. I'm so sorry. I'll get that back. Commissioners, our first item of business will be our zoning resolutions. And our first zoning resolution is CZ 11-2020, application of Christine Oliver from AG to R1. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Lewis, second. Commissioner Joe Smith. Any discussion on CZ 11-2020? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am not going to bore everyone with a repeat of what I said last week. I would just offer this reminder of the issues that we face with this rampant rezoning and the influx of residential developments in an area that cannot support it, it cannot sustain it, and we have no future plans on how to accommodate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Any other discussion on CZ 11-2020? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 12 yeses, 5 nos, and 2 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. Resolution CZ 11-2020 passes. CZ 12-2020, that was deferred from the Planning Commission. CZ 13-2020, application of Tommy Head from AG to E1. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Knight, second. Commissioner Albert, any discussion on CZ 13-2020? Seeing no discussion, would you please register your vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 18 yeses, 0 nos, 1 abstention.
Thank you, ma'am. CZ 13-2020 passes. CZ 14-2020, application of Holly Point LC CBH Properties from AGR1 to R1A. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Joe Smith, second. Commissioner Chris Rasnick. Any discussion on CZ 14? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 18 yeses, 0 nos, 1 abstention.
Thank you, ma'am. CZ 14 passes as well. We will now go to our consent agenda. All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the County Commission and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the County Commission may request that an item be removed for separate consideration. Our items on the consent agenda are Resolution 28-2, resolution to appropriate funds from the Sheriff's Office, Defense Reutilization and Marketing Office, Reserve Fund Fiscal Year 2021. Resolution 28-3, resolution adopting the Montgomery County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. Resolution 28-4, resolution to amend the budgets of various funds for fiscal year 2021 in certain areas of revenue and expenditures. Resolution 28-5, resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners approving amendments to the 2021 CMCSS school budget. Resolution 28-6, resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners approving amendments to the 2021 CMCSS school budget. Also, the adoption of the commission meeting minutes dated July 13th, 2020, adoption of the county clerk's report and notary list, and adoption of county mayor nominations and appointments. Commissioners, are there any items that you would like to see withdrawn from the consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda. Commissioner Pritchard, second. Commissioner Gannon, if you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 19 yeses, 0 nos, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Resolution 28-1, resolution to establish Juneteenth as, excuse me, let me start over. Resolution 28-1, a resolution to establish Juneteenth as a legal paid holiday for Montgomery County government and employees beginning on June 19th, 2021. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Leverett, second Commissioner Rasnick. Any discussion on 28-1? Commissioner Knight.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I know I stated last week that I felt that this should go up to the state for consideration. I'd like to make a motion to place this on the Legislative Liaison Committee and have it be the first item for review to be sent up to our state reps to be considered.
We have a motion and a second to place this item on the Legislative Liaison, I guess our legislative, I can't think of the word I'm wanting to say, but what we submit to the state legislatures for it to be considered at that level. I will say this, for those of you that serve on the Legislative Liaison Committee, they narrowed their choices down last week. That request is on the Legislative Liaison report that will come to this commission to be voted upon, and it is the number one item on the list. And so we can still vote on this if you want to. I don't know if you're wanting to vote on this to take it off of here and just take it there. I'm not sure what you're wanting to do. Help me.
Is it already on the Legislative Liaison Committee?
Yes, sir, it is. Obviously, that would have to be passed by this body for it to be finalized, but I know Commissioner Gannon's on it. Commissioner Leverett, are you on it as well? Commissioner Creek's on it, and that's what was decided at our last meeting. Is that correct?
So part of that amendment is to make it the number one item if it isn't already. If it's already stated as such, then there's no reason for me to proceed with this particular amendment.
Okay. And
Sure, it does stay as the number one item. So I'd like to leave it on there since I seconded it. And just to ensure that it goes to the state and that we.
Okay.
As a point of record, let's go ahead and continue on with the amendment.
So we're going to vote just basically to amend this to make sure that it stays on the Legislative Liaison, but we will come back and vote on the resolution itself to establish a legal paid holiday. So just as a matter of record from this body. So, Ms. Jackson, you.
Point of clarification, I had several seconds. Who did you recognize for the second?
I think I recognized Commissioner Lewis. I think I did, but I'm not sure.
Thank you.
That was 3 minutes ago. Yeah, so we're voting on a motion to amend to also say that this will go on our Legislative Liaison agenda that will be presented to our legislators as the number one item on that list. So, and we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? You might clear that whole thing. Skip, if you can. What's that? Okay, there we go. Could you, Commissioner Tangi Smith, she's in front of you. Could you push, I'll come back to you. Commissioner Leverett.
Yes, I just wanted to let the body know that it's, okay, if you're looking for the state to make this decision, I don't think we need to do that right now. We are a local municipality for a reason. And we have the autonomy to make decisions for our citizens here at Montgomery County. Here is last year's Legislative Liaison agenda, and only one item went through on it last year. There are no guarantees that the state will push this forward other than it being on our agenda. If you want to look at last year's, it's here. Only one item went forward, only one item was approved. So by sending the responsibility to the state, kind of try to absolve us of the responsibility of making a decision here in Montgomery County. And so I understand everyone wants to take it to the state, and I get it, but we can make that decision right here locally. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Tangi Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. So I asked the HR director, Mr. Swa, how much it would cost the county, number-wise. And I really did it for myself, but since I took my item off, I'll use it for this one. So number-wise, we did not pay the county employees COLA this year. And I'll send everybody the email so you can look at what I'm looking at, his words. They didn't pay the county COLA, which was $490,000. And to give everybody a paid 8-hour holiday, it'll cost $129,789. We still save $360,211 if we took on this holiday. So number-wise, we're still coming out better than we did if we would have gave them their COLA that they normally would have had. Just something to think about.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. I want to speak to what Commissioner Leverett mentioned about our legislative liaison last year. Last year, our number one agenda item was the increase in funding for our E911. That passed. It was the number one most important thing on our agenda. It was able to get passed. I think that's pretty remarkable. This would be the number one on our agenda. I think the chances of getting it passed are pretty great. Secondly, one of the things I'd say we were remiss here if we had a proclamation tonight about suffrage. We don't have a holiday for suffrage. And last time I checked, about 51% of our community are women. And I appreciate the women in our community greatly. And I think also that we do not have a holiday that's not a state or federal holiday that we observe in Montgomery County. I think we're setting a precedent for that. So just things to think about.
Commissioner Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff Taylor, I just heard some contradicting information. It says a holiday is only $120,000 versus $227 that we said last time. Is
The
that,
number we originally came up with was between 226 and 227,000.
so that is the number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any idea where Tim came up with the number of 120,000?
I think that could be just in relation to those that actually work on that day, the emergency personnel like sheriff's office, jail, workhouse, and 911.
Okay. So, but the cost is 226, 227.
For all employees, yes.
Okay. And then my other comment is I kind of agree with Commissioner Harper. I think this is an opportunity for us to do it the right way. I think it's not just an indigenous holiday for Montgomery County, but I think this is more for the state of Tennessee, more for the nation, for a national holiday. So by us making it the number one legislative item and sending it to the state, and hopefully for that to become a more prominent holiday and us stand by it, I think that's the proper way to send things through the legislation in order to get them done. If it doesn't, then we can always revisit it in the first half of next year. It's my opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner Gannon. I think we're kind of getting off base. We're voting. I don't think we voted on Mr. Knight's amendment yet. Okay,
To
well,
send it to the
I know,
state.
but we've talked about money and everything else. So Commissioner Johnson, are you speaking to the amendment?
Basically, my question is, does this amendment remove the resolution from the agenda this evening?
No.
Nothing.
Commissioner Leverett, are you speaking to the?
I'll wait.
to-
I'll wait.
Commissioner Knight, are you speaking to the amendment?
I'll speak to my amendment. It's evident currently, based off of just the simple conversations between all of us here tonight, right now, based off of this one amendment, right, that there are cost issues, there are issues with whether or not we're being fair to all the county employees. So I think the best bet for us, for each and every one of us to ensure that we're honoring this particular day correctly, like Commissioner Gannon stated, is that we take this item and place it on the state's agenda. And this amendment is just a point of notice so that, hey, this is what we're doing. I'd appreciate everybody's support for this particular amendment. Thank you.
Commissioner Leverett, speaking to the amendment?
I am speaking to the amendment. You know, like I said before, we have a responsibility to make decisions here at the local level. This is why we are an autonomous local municipality. I get what, I get the elephant in the room, and this is not about a group of people. Well, yes, it is. It is about a group of people. It's about the employees of Montgomery County. That's the group of people that this resolution is about. And so the amendment, I understand it, I get it. If this item does not go forth in the state and it gets lost in a committee and it dies in a committee at the state level, I will be expecting 100% support from this body because I'm going to bring it back to this body. I'm still expecting the resolution to pass as well. Thank you.
All right, anything else on the amendment? Ms. Jackson, I'm sorry, I kind of got crossways there, but we are now going to vote to amend Resolution 28-1, and what this amendment will do, it will also place this item on the legislative agenda as the #1 item. So we're voting on the amendment to 28-1. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 16 yeses, 3 noes, 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, now we are back to,
Mayor, I'm sorry, there was a change evidently at the last minute.
ma'am? 4 noes. Somebody change their vote?
Yes, sir, it was 15, 4, and 0. So 15 yeses, 4 noes, and 0 abstentions.
All right, thank you. Okay, we are now voting on Resolution 28-1, a resolution to establish Juneteenth as a legal paid holiday for Montgomery County government employees beginning on June 19th, 2021, and also placing it as the #1 priority on our legislative agenda. So we need another motion. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Johnson, second. Commissioner Riccone, any discussion? Commissioner Leverett.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Again, I'll reiterate that we have a responsibility as a local municipality. Earlier today, our own diversity officer said that we set the standard. There is a reason why we are the #1 county and the #1 city here in America is because of our diversity and because of our ability to embrace differences. Juneteenth is a part of American history. And as such, I think it should be celebrated and rewarded to our employees. On Saturday, I had a conversation with Representative Jason Hodges, and his exact words were, Rashidah, this is no guarantee that we're going to make it, that it's going to pass in the state. Given the makeup of our current General Assembly, I think it would be better if you all passed it here at the local level as a local municipality to motivate the state to send it forth and to make it pass. But I am, again, Representative Jason Hodges told me, and I quote, there's no guarantee that this is going to pass at the General Assembly. So whether we put it as the first item, the third item, or whatever, there is no guarantee. But what we do have right now in this moment is the ability to make a decision that will possibly motivate our state legislature to send this to the floor and to make this a holiday. But we have no guarantee, and I don't think we should shirk our responsibility as the local legislation here when we can do this right now. We could do this here, we can make history, and we could bring equality and equity right here to Montgomery County and then send it up to the state as a way to show that Montgomery County is serious, and for us to be the second county in Tennessee to pass Juneteenth as a holiday for county employees following our friends over at Shelby County. So that's what I have, and our state rep has actually said that there's no guarantee this will go to the floor in the state. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Beal?
Thank you, sir. I would like to make it known that I am a huge supporter of this. I believe that it should happen. However, I do also understand the concern of some when it comes to the cost to taxpayers. So therefore, with that, I would like to propose an amendment. I actually emailed it to everybody, so it is in your inboxes. And it would simply add a whereas at the very bottom, and it'll say the Juneteenth paid holiday shall replace the paid holiday provided to county employees on the Friday after Thanksgiving, beginning in 2021. So we can still get this passed, and it won't be a cost issue because we're essentially just replacing a paid holiday.
Would you please restate your amendment so Ms. Jackson can get it properly?
Sure. Whereas the Juneteenth paid holiday shall replace the paid holiday provided to county employees on the Friday after Thanksgiving, beginning in 2021. So for those that may not be...
Is there a second?
Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Tangi Smith seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? This is on the amendment. You on the amendment, Commissioner Gannon? Commissioner Johnson, you on the amendment?
I understand the logic, kind of. I mean, let's just look at this historically, people. The reason why that Friday after Thanksgiving holiday came into existence in the first place is because you can't get people to come back to work after Thanksgiving. I appreciate the spirit that Commissioner Beal has with this, but I just do not see this as viable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Gannon on the amendment? Okay, well, do something to your button so you don't keep popping up on the board. Thank you. But you don't want to speak to the amendment. Okay. Commissioner Leverett, you speaking to the amendment?
Yes, again, I appreciate Commissioner Bill as well, but Juneteenth it's in June, and also the money is there in the budget. Whether our county employees are working or whether they're having the day off, we've already approved those funds. This body has approved those funds. So there is no additional cost to taxpayers because whether we are here or not, that funds are already in the budget approved by this body. So I appreciate Commissioner Bill, thank you. But for those two reasons, with Juneteenth actually being in June and there's no new money, I don't think we need to amend it to that. Thank you.
I think the intent of Commissioner Bill's amendment is to eliminate the Friday after Thanksgiving, and replace it with Juneteenth, which would be honored on June 19th. So he's not saying we're going to take Juneteenth on the Friday after Thanksgiving. It would go to June 19th. I think that's his intent. Commissioner Harper?
Thank you, Mayor. Isn't the Friday after Thanksgiving actually the Columbus Day wouldn't it really be replacing Columbus Day?
Well, this body at some point in time replaced Columbus Day with the day after Thanksgiving. So it would be replacing the day after Thanksgiving, which actually replaced Columbus Day. So,
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Beal?
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Harper just said what I was going to say. In case nobody knew, this day actually replaced Columbus Day. So there's been a lot of talk about folks thinking, hey, we should replace it with Columbus Day, but they didn't realize that that wasn't a paid holiday. Columbus Day itself was not for county employees. So this is my way of trying to get this passed because I believe in it, but at the same time also addressing the concerns of the ones that say that because there's a cost associated with it that we shouldn't do it. So thank you.
Commissioner Gannon?
Yeah, I guess I'll try this in this point. I am not against Juneteenth, and I think it's a very reputable holiday and everything there. I think there needs to be, I'm all for doing things the proper way, sending them to state. There's a procedure going through federal. I think this is more of a national federal holiday, and that's the way it needs to come out. So I would like to, and I don't know if I can do this right here, but I would like to make a motion to table this in order to see where it comes out of our state legislature before we do this.
We have a motion on the floor to.
So you can't
amend.
table above it? That's my question, if you can table it above it. Then I'll save it for the next round. Thank you.
Commissioner Knight.
I was just going to ask if we can just vote on this amendment.
Yep. So any other discussion on the amendment? Everybody- The amendment is to replace the day after Thanksgiving with, eliminate it from our vacation schedule or our paid holiday schedule and replace it with June 19th to celebrate Juneteenth. If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 5 yeses, 14 noes, and 0 abstentions.
The amendment fails. We're now back on the resolution as amended to establish Juneteenth as a legal paid holiday for Montgomery County beginning on June 19th, 2021, and also placing it as the #1 item on our legislative agenda. Is there a motion for approval? I think we already have that, don't we? So we already have that. Any discussion? Commissioner Gannon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. As I said before, I mean, I agree with Juneteenth and everything in that goes with it, and as far as the Emancipation Proclamation and everything that follows there, but I believe this is more of a federal and a national holiday, and I'm not objecting for us to do it at all, but as people that know me, I like to follow procedures, and I think that sending it to the state first would be a good idea to see if we can get a state holiday / a national holiday and have our full support behind it through our legislative agenda and to talk to obviously our state reps and to make that push. So I would like to table that, this resolution in order to see what comes out from the state headquarters. And if that doesn't happen, then we can obviously always come back and revisit this.
Are you making a motion to table?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Harper. That's non-debatable? Non-debatable. So we're now voting to table Resolution 28-1 as amended. It's non-debatable. Ms. Jackson, I'll proceed when you say it's okay. I know it's a new system. Okay? All right. If you would, please register your vote to table 28-1 as amended. Motion fails to table. We're now back on 28-1. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Commissioner Garland, Commissioner Leverett.
No, I'm just asking that we be the trailblazers that we know to be. I really wasn't expecting so much back and forth. Again, I will restate it based on the words of Commissioner Hodges. There is no guarantee that this will pass at the state legislature. It has, at the federal level, it for many times, legislators have sent it to the federal level and have sent it to the various state levels, and still no passage of this holiday. There is no guarantee. The only thing we can do now here in this body is guarantee that we offer a day off to our employees here of Montgomery County. That we can guarantee. And if by any chance it goes to the state and something happens, then we blaze that trail. We were the ones to do that, to motivate our state legislature. So there's no guarantees, but what we can do right here, right now.
Commissioner Pritchard.
I'm going to ask a question. If we can't vote on this here in Montgomery County, what makes you think that anybody can vote on it in the state? Absolutely. This is something for Montgomery County. It's not for the state of Tennessee. We're asking for Montgomery County, for at least 35 to 40% of the population of Montgomery County that celebrate this particular holiday along with all their friends and Montgomery Countyans in general. This is something for us, not us color-wise, and that's the elephant, but for us as Montgomery Countyans, as us, as a diverse group, this is for us. We're not asking the state to help us. We're not asking anybody to ride our coattails. We're doing this for us. And when you realize that you can take that step through the open door and do it for the people that you work with every day, okay, that makes us all much better people. Thank you.
Commissioner Garland Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's do this the right way. I've heard that a lot tonight. Who's to say what the right way is? When this resolution first came to fore, I had a lot of discussions, a lot of talks with people, and I got to say that a lot of the comments that I got were the same ones that were echoing in my head, because I grew up here. Montgomery County has been my home since birth, and I grew up with celebrating the 8th of August. And that is a bell that rings with a lot of people in this community and in others. But Montgomery County is different. We have people that come here from all over the world on a daily basis. And once you get outside of this area and you start talking about an 8th of August celebration, people look at you and they don't know what you're talking about. But when you mention Juneteenth, people recognize where you're coming from. People from South Carolina, people from Georgia, people from Alabama, people from Maryland, people from Pennsylvania recognize of what you are speaking when you mention Juneteenth. So just as Commissioner Pritchard said, this is fast becoming a universal holiday. It's not just something that is some localized idea. We have talked about funding. Well, here's something that was mentioned, but it wasn't really elaborated on. The money for this day was already allocated when we voted for the budget. Montgomery County does not produce a product. This is not a factory. This is not LG. It's not Hankook. It's not a day that if nobody's at work, nothing gets produced and no money gets made. That's not how government works. The money for this day is the same as the money for today. It's the same as the money for next Monday. It's the same as the money for the day before Christmas. It's all the same. The money has already been allocated. It's just a day that the employees will not report to work. We talk about sending it to the state. Listen, this is something that was an idea for a county holiday that was born here by our own commissioner. You know, when I first heard this, my second thought was, why didn't I think of that? I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think it's something that we need here. I will not drone on any longer, but I will leave you with this. No one ever made history waiting for someone else to do it first. Thank you.
Commissioner Rasnick.
I'm just going to make this short and sweet. I think Montgomery County just needs to set the standard to the state of Tennessee, pass this resolution, and show them how important this holiday is to us. Thank you.
Commissioner Joe Smith.
I want to kind of speak a little bit on the reason why I voted yes to table this. Somebody, Commissioner Beal, as a matter of fact, offered a solution. Swap one holiday for another so that it makes more sense. While Commissioner Johnson does say that we don't produce items, well, we are about productivity, and the taxpayers do pay our employees to get productivity done. So I would like to make an amendment to allow us to swap this holiday for any other holiday at the mayor's discretion. I'll let him pick which holiday he wants to swap it for and allow this to pass. If we want a holiday, let's swap it for another holiday so that the taxpayers are still getting the productivity they deserve from the employees.
We have a motion and a second. If you would, please restate your motion.
To leave it at the mayor's discretion to swap this holiday for any other holiday, doesn't matter which one, to allow this holiday to pass and be on the books. It's a fair compromise to allow the productivity of keeping the same amount of holidays and the employees are still working the same amount of days.
So we, Commissioner Knight?
Just going to say, if we can't trust our state reps to do the job that we elected them to do, then why are we here? That's all.
Yeah, so we now have a motion to amend, to swap this for any other paid holiday, and it will be at the mayor's discretion. Commissioners, I would encourage each of you to vote no. I think it's a legislative item. You're not going to put it on my back, I hope.
Mayor, I
So
do need to, I'm sorry, I do need to know who you recognized as a second on that.
Commissioner Harper seconded it. If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? The amendment fails. All right, we're back to Resolution 28-1 as amended. Any other discussion? Commissioner Harper.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that we have in front of us. I can't ignore, I mentioned it earlier about suffrage. I think we should add another holiday, floating day, to honor women's suffrage. We just passed a 100 year, and this was the greatest expansion in the democratic process of voting rights that was given out. I'd like to make that amendment that we add a floating day for women's suffrage.
We have a motion and a second to add a floating day to Resolution 28-1 to commemorate women's suffrage. And I think you need to define that a little bit further, Mr. Harper.
The 19th Amendment,
No, sir, the floating aspect of it.
to be determined, to be used at the employee's discretion as a floating day.
Does it carry over? Do they have a certain amount of time to use it in?
Would not carry over.
It's a very complex system we have with all of our employees, where employees have to work on paid holidays, so it needs to be very explicit.
It would be a floating day that had to be used within that calendar year, would not roll over.
And when would that holiday be awarded to them?
At the beginning of the year, January 1.
I think that creates budget issues because you go into a different fiscal year. I'm just telling you what I feel. But
Let's just make it at the beginning of the fiscal year then.
So if you would, please restate your motion.
To add a floating day to honor women's suffrage, the passing of the 19th Amendment. It would be awarded at the beginning of the fiscal year. It would be a floating day to be used at the employee's discretion, would not carry over year to year, had to be used within that year.
Mr. Gannon, you second that. So we have a motion and a discussion. Any discussion on the amendment only? Commissioner Beal.
Yes, thank you. I would like to ask Commissioner Harper to consider pulling that and offer it as a separate resolution at a later time.
Commissioner Johnson.
Honestly, I believe we are falling into ridiculousness, and honestly, I am starting to not recognize this body anymore. I mean, when did the Montgomery County Commission chambers become a stage for farce and this ridiculous display. Honestly, this is becoming embarrassing. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on the amendment? We're now voting on the amendment. Ms. Jackson, are you comfortable with the language of the amendment? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 3 yeses, 16 noes, and 0 abstention.
Thank you, ma'am. We're now back on 28-1 as amended. Any discussion? Commissioner Smith.
I want to speak on this because there's been 2 attempts to keep the same amount of holidays and observe this as a holiday. Commissioner Leverett wants this observed as a holiday. Understood. I'm for that, as long as we swap out with another holiday and keep the same productivity by Montgomery County employees that's already budgeted. So I'm going to make another motion for an amendment to allow us to swap this holiday for another holiday that must be decided on by this body before May 2021. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Harper seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Lewis, you're not on the amendment, are you? Okay, well, you can do that. I guess you can do that right now. We have Commissioner Leverett in the queue. Commissioner Leverett speaking to the amendment, and then the question's been called for.
That's fine.
Okay? I don't think, I know, but I'm not going to vote on the call to question. I see no objection to the call for cease and discussion, so we're now voting on Commissioner Joe Smith's amendment. I guess you can register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 6 yeses, 13 noes, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. We're now back to 28-1 as amended. Any discussion? Commissioner Beal.
Thank you, sir. Am I able to ask for my amendment to be reconsidered?
You made an earlier motion to amend.
Yep.
And it was defeated.
And it failed.
Can I ask for someone on the prevailing side to do that?
Yeah, you can. If there is somebody on the prevailing side that wants to reconsider it, when you say ask.
Make it known, something.
I don't know who was on the prevailing side, which was a no. No was prevailing.
Okay.
If you hear anything, Chair. If you don't hear anything, you don't.
No. All right. I don't hear anything, so we are now voting on 28-1 as amended. If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 10 yeses, 8 noes, and 1 abstention.
Motion failed. So that the item that was amended, I would still say that before the Legislative Liaison Committee, that they have voted to bring that forward to this body as the number one priority on our legislative agenda. So Resolution 28-7 is a resolution approving the formation of a land regulation advisory committee for the city of Clarksville in Montgomery County, Tennessee. Is there a motion for approval? Commissioner Lewis, is there a second? Commissioner Albert, any discussion? Commissioner Beal?
Thank you, sir. I would like to offer an amendment to basically make it where the two county commissioner representatives are appointed by the mayor, but they are subject to approval by the full county commission.
Is there a second to that amendment? Commissioner Harper? Any discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Gannon?
Currently, under the Regional Planning Commission, when the mayor makes his appointment, there's no ratification currently, right? It's not voted on? To the best of my knowledge, I think it's just a
We have so
flat out.
many appointments and nominations, I don't know what gets voted on and what doesn't.
I believe they're not. I believe that's your choice to make in those because you want good representation. I'm pretty positive of that. So my vote would be to vote against this amendment and to allow the mayor and future mayors to have the ability to appoint whoever they want to have on that committee rather than having it ratified. Thank you.
Commissioner Beal?
This would not be stopping the mayor from making the appointments. It would just require county commission approval. I think that makes sense. Why not?
All right, any other discussion? If you would, please register your vote on the motion to amend. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 3 yeses, 16 noes, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. We're now back to 28-7. Resolution to approve the formation of a land regulation advisory committee for the city of Clarksville, Montgomery County, Tennessee. We have a proper motion and a second. Any other discussion? If you would, please register your vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Ms. Jackson, would you please tally the vote?
You have 18 yeses, 1 no, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, commissioners, at this time, it's time for us to do an election of our interim circuit court clerk. We have had 2 people that have submitted their applications to our HR office, and those 2 people are Richard L. Meeks and Wendy Davis. Is there I would entertain a nomination for these 2 individuals. Commissioner Gannon, second. Commissioner Joe Smith. We don't need to vote on that, do we? No. So are there any other nominations? Any other nominations for the position of interim circuit court clerk? So nominations are ceased. We have 2 people that are nominated, Mr. Richard L. Meeks and Miss Wendy Davis. Commissioners, I'm going to give each one of these applicants 5 minutes to speak, or up to 5 minutes to speak. Mr. Meeks, if you would, please come forward to this microphone, introduce yourself, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak for the county commissioners. My name is Richard L. Meeks. I'm a retired Clarksville attorney of 2018. I was born in Montgomery County, Tennessee. I graduated from Clarksville High School in the class of '67. I volunteered for the Army in Vietnam in 1968. I married my wife, Sharon Reagan, in 1969. Yes, over 50 years. We have 3 children and 8 grandchildren. I'm a graduate of Austin Peay State University. I'm a graduate of National School of Law. I'm a life member of the Immaculate Conception Catholic Church and a board member of the Immaculate Conception School. I'm a lifetime member of the DAV. I'm the mentor coordinator for Montgomery County Veterans Treatment Court. I have held positions since the commencement of the VTC program. I am proud of the several awards presented to me on behalf of my volunteer work. Mayor Garland Bowers, by proclamation, announced my many years of outstanding and dedicated service devoted to our community. Mayor Jim Leverett presented a certificate of appreciation for my support and commitment to Montgomery County Drug Court. I have sat as intern judge for Honorable Charles Smith while he was on sick leave. I have practiced law in the circuit, general sessions, and juvenile courts. I have worked with most of the court's clerks in each of these departments and never experienced a conflict with these clerks. We always had respect and friendly work relationships in all the departments of the court system. I have had decades of experience in the legal system of Montgomery County. I maintain I have necessary experience in the legal system to work with all the departments of the circuit court system. There are many deputy clerks who work in the departments of the circuit court clerk system. Knowing the deputy clerks and their devotion to the circuit, general session, and juvenile courts, there is no doubt that I can perform the duties of the circuit court clerk. I feel confident in my leadership ability to resolve any conflicts that may arise in the departments. Several commissioners have asked me, why do you want to apply for this position? It's such a short-term period. First, I feel indebted to Montgomery County for the opportunities afforded to me. I deeply appreciate these opportunities given to me in my lifetime. Montgomery County has been good to me and my family. Secondly, I believe the November 2020 election should be an equal playing field. Let each candidate contend on their own abilities, merits, talents, without the help of the title of incumbent. Lastly, I have no intent of seeking the circuit court clerk position in the future. As circuit court clerk, I will be a neutral player in the November 2020 elections. A good course of action should be to appoint someone that is not running for said office. However, the appointee should be competent to handle the job. I know I'm competent for such appointment. Again, I want to thank you for your time and consideration of voting for me for circuit court clerk. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Meeks. Ms. Davis, Wendy Davis.
Good evening, all. My name is Wendy Davis. I have been with Montgomery County Circuit Court Clerk's Office for 24 years. I moved to Clarksville in 1978. When I was 7 years old, my father was in the military and was transferred here. Montgomery County became our home, and the Circuit Court Clerk's Office is my home. I absolutely love everything we do, assisting the public and helping them. This past year has been a very difficult year for our office. It's been for the whole entire nation. Personally, my staff has experienced a lot of stress, depression, a lot of things with the COVID. They've had tremendous loss in their families. They haven't been able to take the proper time to grieve because there's not funerals, and if they are, they're hundreds of miles away. I've been there with them through all of this, and I've listened and I have talked them through this and made arrangements when the time came. And right now, my employees are still, I'm not gonna cry about it, Cheryl Castle, struggling with losing their beloved clerk. And the one thing they have said to me is that we're glad we have you. And I'm grateful for that. And I ask, you don't have to pay me a dime. I will not use this for a political gain, but I want to be there for them. I am running for election because I am going to be your next circuit court clerk, and I'm going to be second best in Montgomery County. I appreciate y'all tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Ms. Jackson, would you kind of briefly go over this process, if you don't mind, please, ma'am?
Good evening. Article 7, Section 2 of the Tennessee Constitution and Tennessee State Code 5-1-104 allows for the appointment of an interim successor by this body to serve ahead of the election set by the state of Tennessee. The Montgomery County Board of Commissioners has assembled this 10th day of August to elect and appoint the interim circuit court clerk to serve as such beginning effective August 16th, 2020. I'm going to provide a summary to you of the voting procedures that were revised and passed by this body on April 9th, 2019. Obviously, we've gone through the nomination process and the acceptance by the speeches by the candidates. They have obviously accepted their nomination. After the nominations cease, the county legislative body has the right to discuss the nomination. Then voting begins. When any nominee receives a majority, then he or she is appointed to fill the vacancy. That majority is 11 votes. A nominee may withdraw his or her name at any time during this voting process. Commissioners, you have received a printed ballot at your desk for several rounds of voting. The mayor will ask you to make your selection on that ballot, and then he will ask you if you wish to change your vote. Once that process has happened, we will ask you to pass those ballots to the center aisle, and if you will, please do not fold them and put the lowest number on top of your 3 on each row. That will help us in the collection and order process. But once those ballots are passed to the center, that is the final vote. There will be no change in votes at that time. The first round of voting rules, the candidate must receive a majority of 11, or we will move to round 2. Since we have 2 candidates during this election, I will read, if we proceed to votes 2 through 9, then I will read the requirements of that vote at that time. Any questions?
Any questions of Ms. Jackson, commissioners? All right, Ms. Jackson, thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, you have your pre-printed ballots on your desk. If you would, please make your selection. Before you pass it, would anyone like to change their vote? Please pass your ballots to the middle aisle.
I think I'm on now. Thank you, Skip. Commissioner Gannon votes for Wendy Davis. Just one moment. Commissioner Keene votes for Richard Meeks. Commissioner Joe Smith votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Rashidah Leverett votes for Wendy Davis.
Got to go down one.
Oops, excuse me. It's kind of a blur when you see all these lines up close. Commissioner Arnold Hodges votes for Richard Meeks. Commissioner Tangi Smith votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Chandler votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Lewis votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Creek votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Pritchard votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Woodruff votes for Richard Meeks. Commissioner Beal votes for Richard Meeks. Commissioner Harper votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Bryant votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Rasnick votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Knight votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Johnson votes for Richard Meeks. Commissioner Albert votes for Wendy Davis. Commissioner Riccone votes for Richard Meeks. Didn't register Larry.
Your last vote hadn't registered
sir, I
yet,
know,
Ms.
and it's-
Jackson.
There it goes. So Mayor, you do have a majority.
All right. Congratulations to Ms. Davis. She did receive a majority of votes in the first round, and to her, congratulations. And Mr. Meeks, thank you, sir. You've done a lot for Montgomery County, and I thank you for your interest in this position. So we now have an interim clerk who is Miss Wendy Davis, and she will serve until the election in November. And again, congratulations, Ms. Davis. I'm going to give y'all time to get back to your seat. Ms. Jackson, thanks to you and your staff for the help with the process of the election, or the appointment, whatever you call it. And so, Commissioners, we have no unfinished business. You will see on your agenda the list of reports that have been filed. There's several of them. Two that were added from our informal meeting. A couple of announcements. Reminder that the unveiling of the women's suffrage statue on Saturday, August 15th. A walking parade will begin at 5 p.m. from the courthouse here to Public Square for the ceremony. The county has purchased a brick paver for all current and prior women county commissioners and, county mayor, which have been placed around the statue. I would remind everyone if you come to participate in the parade, to wear your mask and practice social distancing. Also ask that you keep Commissioner Brandon Butts and his family in your prayers. Mr. Butts, or Commissioner Butts, lost his aunt recently. We have no further business. I'll call on Commissioner King. Do you have something?
Thank you, Mayor. Are we not voting on 13 and 14 on the reports filed?
No, sir. They're just reported items.
Okay, well, they were in italics, so I thought.
Yes, sir. They're just reported items.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I know you'd like to be a commissioner, maybe, but you do an awfully good job as deputy chief. Chief Deputy Smith, would you please adjourn us?
Absolutely. All rise. Oh, yes, this Honorable Board of County Commission now stands adjourned. May God save this state and this Honorable Board of County Commissioners.
Well, that's usually when I flub.